Twitch streaming in the world of live streaming has been very prominent and different and special and awesome since it became a thing. There are so many streamers out there, so many who I believe are just underrated and incredible. But I wanted to know why people got into streaming. I feel like live streaming is very different from other forms of content creation, such as artwork or YouTube videos, entertainment, stand-up comedy. It's very immersive and different, and I wanted to know why exactly were people drawn to this sphere of content. I got in touch and asked 100 different streamers why they decided to hit that go live button and live stream. I've collected these answers and I have some statistics for you. I hate to bring you back to fifth grade here, but I want to talk about the scientific method, okay? We are going to use this to format this video and discuss how I did this and what I found in my data collection. Step number one, make an observation. My observation is that live streaming is cool, and there's a lot of cool people. And I wanted to talk to them and discover, hey, why do you do what you do? I personally got into live streaming during the pandemic, watching other streamers and YouTubers and got inspired from them. And I thought that a lot of people probably had a similar startup to me. And I had a little bit of a hypothesis, if you will. A big word, guys. My hypothesis was that a majority of people got into live streaming basically by being inspired by others and seeing other people do kind of what they wanted to do. I wanted to test that. I asked 100 streamers, yo, why do you do what you do? And I asked my question, and oh boy, did I get egoed a bunch. I did not get a lot of responses. I also apologize for being annoying. I messaged so many people about this. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you got that DM and you're like, ugh, she wants me in her video. I just want to say I'm so incredibly grateful and thankful to everyone who got back to me. I appreciate you more than you know, genuinely. Thank you for making this video possible, and I apologize for being annoying. Step number three, test my hypothesis and gather my data. And that's exactly what I did with my questions. And I have my data right here in my little notebook. Number four, examine test results and form a conclusion. I guess I did that. I don't know. I collected data and we'll go over it. Step five, report findings. I did. I feel like these all kind of just go together. I don't know. I thought it'd be like a funny bit to go over the scientific method, but it really wasn't. You're here for the data. Let's just drop that. There are many different contributors and reasons why that these streamers got into streaming. Some kind of didn't necessarily have a reason and they were like, I don't know, I just got bored or whatever. But a lot had specific reasons. So I tried to narrow down some of the specific reasons that I saw that were repeated a lot, and I've come up with some numbers here. My original hypothesis and what I thought a lot of people would mention and bring up was COVID-19 slash the pandemic. I thought that was going to be mentioned a lot. I thought a lot of people were going to mention how they just didn't want to edit and they would rather be live and not have to worry about editing YouTube videos. Like, they wanted to get into content creation, but the editing was a pain. And I get it. I'm a streamer myself who edits YouTube videos. Editing can be a pain sometimes. I also thought a lot of people were going to mention that they were inspired by creators that they watched either at the time or when they were younger. I thought that was going to be brought up a lot. So that was kind of what I expected, but I got a lot of very interesting things I did not expect. So, starting with COVID and the pandemic as a whole, 18% of the responses that I got said that they got started during lockdown or during like the peak of the pandemic, or maybe they learned about Twitch during the pandemic. COVID-19 or the pandemic was involved in their answer that they gave me. And just so you know, I will be featuring all of the answers at the end of the video if you're interested. And just kind of giving that little shout out to those who helped me out. And I will say a majority of the shooters that I interviewed are smaller and focus primarily on Valorant and Minecraft. So reasons, um, so if someone interviewed 100 just chatting streamers or 100 IRL streamers, their answers could be very different and these statistics could be very different. I focus more on gaming, and you should like totally check out all the streamers that are mentioned at the end of the video and in the description. I interviewed people of many different backgrounds with many different ethnicities, gender identities, locations of where they are in the world. I didn't play, alright? Okay, disclaimer over. Let's continue with the statistics. Something that I actually did not expect was the amount of people who mentioned their families, that either a sibling or maybe a parent got them into live streaming. Around 11% of the responses that I received mentioned their family. A lot of people mentioned that their friends got them into streaming as well, which is something that I didn't really consider when I first started. I guess because I don't really have friends. I kind of forgot that other people do. So, 44% of the responses that I received mentioned either that their friends got them into streaming or they got into content creation slash streaming because they wanted to make more friends. I mentioned earlier that I thought that the idea of not wanting to edit or the editing was too hard or they didn't want to learn to edit, yada yada. I mentioned that I thought that that was going to be kind of common in the responses, but it was actually not. Only 4% of the responses that I received mentioned that they didn't want to edit. 25% of the responses that I got mentioned mental health in some sort of way, whether they mentioned anxiety or depression, or that maybe they were in a bad spot mentally and that's why they started streaming, or that they were struggling with their mental health, or maybe they started streaming because they thought it would help, or they mentioned just something involving the brain, really, and maybe they were in a dark time or just not doing so hot mentally, or maybe they wanted to improve their mental health. I got 25 responses that included something involving mental health. One of the main reasons that I started streaming was because I was inspired by others growing up, and other streamers made my day, made me laugh, made me feel better, and I wanted to be that for other people. And I also thought that a lot of people did this as well, and honestly, I was correct. Around 35% of the responses that I received mentioned that they wanted to impact other people in some way. A majority of them wanting to do kind of what I already said, which was lift up other people. I thought this was very interesting. 29% of the responses that I received mentioned YouTube in some way, whether that they were inspired by other YouTubers or maybe they had created content on YouTube in the past, maybe they grew up watching YouTube. YouTube was a pretty common topic in these responses that I received. Speaking of being inspired by others when they are young, 31% of the responses I received mentioned that they had wanted to do content since they were young, or they got into gaming, streaming, content creation when they were young, which I expected a lot of responses to include that. I interviewed a lot of people who were in the same generation as me, around the ages of 18 to 25, and I feel like we all kind of grew up with YouTube. 5% of the responses I received mentioned money and making an income from streaming. I just touched a little bit on inspiration, and speaking of inspiration, 25% of the responses that I received mentioned that they were inspired by other content creators. 4% of the responses I received mentioned Among Us, and I took note of this because Among Us was a very big craze during COVID and the pandemic in late 2020, early 2021. And I feel like, that was like peak pandemic when a lot of people were being introduced to live streaming. And I know specifically the Dream SMP helped with the rise of Twitch streamers because a lot of people saw the Dream SMP and saw the creators and got inspired by that and started. Speaking of which, 5% of the responses I received mentioned the Dream SMP. So yeah, I took note of both of those statistics, Among Us and Dream SMP, because I feel like, as my hypothesis stated, I believed that a lot of people got started in streaming during COVID-19 and 2020, which is when Among Us and Dream SMP were at their peak. 2% of the responses that I received mentioned fame and wanting to potentially get famous or something along the lines of that with content creation and or streaming. The last stat that I have here talks about art. 5% of these streamers that I talked to mentioned that they started streaming because they wanted to share their artwork. If we go off the data that I collected, the top 3 reasons people got into live streaming were because of their friends, because they want to inspire others or entertain others, and that they grew up with content creation and YouTubers and streaming, and it was just kind of part of their life. I will now read to you all of the responses that I received so you can see the variations of all the responses. A lot of them are actually very heartwarming and beautiful. And again, I just want to say that I'm so grateful and thankful to everyone who participated in this video. Thank you for not egoing me. It was very, very interesting seeing different point of views and reading all of your responses. And I'm sure that a lot of people watching are also going to find it very entertaining and interesting to see these different point of views from different people of different backgrounds and ages and whatnot. Here are the responses along with the names of those who gave me the responses, minus a few who wanted to remain anonymous. I will, of course, respect that. I wanted another avenue to provide content to my subscribers on YouTube as I upload quite infrequently, and also for the fun of it. I started streaming around 2020 at the time nobody wants to remember. I certainly know that you don't want to remember it either. There was such negative tension between the race for the White House and just everything overall. I started streaming as a safe haven for people to come in, and I knew if I could make someone's mood better and happy, I knew that happiness and love would be contagious. I never cared about views, I cared only about making an impact on someone's mood. I've been making YouTube videos since I was 10 years old and just recently have found the tiniest bit of success on it. I met a lot of wonderful people who have pushed me to branch out and try new things. I couldn't be happier with the sense of belonging and community streaming has brought me. I started streaming for a number of reasons. I wanted to see what it was like, I wanted to see if I could do it, I wanted to see if I could make any money off of it. I then became a VTuber because I thought it would be funny, and I think it was, but I also gained a way to let my crazy side out without anyone telling my mom, and that's been amazing too. The more important question, I think, is why I keep streaming. Ultimately, it's a good time. I get to have some company as I play, express myself more fully, and get interesting and knowledgeable people coming into my chat. You haven't lived until you've had game devs watching you live as you break whatever indie game you're trying at the moment. I originally started doing content with YouTube videos, but switched to streaming as it's so much more interactive with the community. You get to know your community so much more than through YouTube comments, and you get live feedback, and you don't have to edit. I just wanted to make someone's day just a little bit better with my content, and being able to interact with them in real time makes that easier. I was definitely inspired by a lot of streamers that I watched at the time, and I realized that streaming can be a lot more versatile and impactful than you can expect. I started streaming as an honest, silly joke with 2 other old friends from high school. It was our senior year in 2021, and we were like, why don't we pay for our uni expenses by being streamers? One of them made an account, and we made like 3 streams there, and then I made my own. I decided to start streaming because at the time I was friends with a girl and we used to play Call of Duty a lot. And I never had many girlfriends to play games with, but we would always be laughing so hard and having the best time, so we decided to start streaming together. We've since stopped being friends, but I kept streaming because I was attracting a community that felt so welcoming and loving, and it was really just an extremely positive experience for my mental health. I use it as an escape, but I've also met so many sweet friends through it. It's just become a part of what I look forward to during my weeks, and I love it so much because it's like playing games on Facebook. If I'm being completely honest, I got into streaming a bit after my Nana passed away as a way to cope with the loss of someone so deeply important to me. I lived with my Nana, and up until the day she took her last breath, I never lived a day without so much as hearing her voice. I found solace in streaming, and I've been gifted with a wonderful community and amazing friends. I've always wanted to get into the content space, but my computer was so garbage. We finally scrounged up enough money for a pre-built pink PC, and I just knew it was time. Now I stream pretty infrequently because of school, but I'm planning on getting back to the groove in May. I started streaming at first because I've always found it super interesting and wanted to give it a try. Then it blossomed into wanting to build a safe space and having a place where me, my friends, and anyone else wanted to get away from the world and have fun. Being an advocate for LGBTQ plus and mental health is so very important to me, and I want to make that a key importance in my streaming. I started because my brother gave me his old PC, and I said, you know what? Let's just stream me gaming, thinking nothing that would come from it. Here we are a year plus later, and I've gone to TwitchCon and met so many amazing people. I'm living my dream job. I started streaming mid-2021, mostly due to the popularity and influence of the Dream SMP. I spent a lot of time watching these creators during quarantine, and I just wanted to be like them. I also started streaming because I felt lonely sometimes in person, so it gave me a place I could just talk with no fear of judgment. My brother started doing it, and I saw him, and pretty much everything we've done has always been a competition. So I just tried to do it better than him. I also was watching a lot of people on Twitch, and it just seemed fun, and I thought that I would try it, and that's why I started out playing video games, but eventually switched up my content. I also just realized I think a lot of responses kind of got lost somehow. How did that happen? I already made content for like 6 years on and off, and while I was in college in 2019, one of my buddies at the time was like, me and some other streamers play Minecraft together, and I was like, that sounds awesome, let me take that more seriously. I would stream here and there playing video games, but I never fully delved into it. I mainly wanted to just make relaxing content and have fun with my friends, but at this point it's evolved into a lot more like wanting to do more events and making more hype content. I started streaming because I had a quarantine for 2 weeks in January 2021 before going back to college, and I had always wanted to give streaming an actual try, so I decided to rebrand my Twitch account and just go for it. I've always wanted to do some form of content creation. I feel like it's kind of what I was meant to do. I feel like I'm meant to be famous in my veins, and streaming is just such an intimate form of content creation. You can have your own little community and be a part of other people's communities. I want to change my life, support my family, and do whatever I want and just be free in this caged world. I actually streamed for the first time around late 2021. I had just started a Minecraft SMP, and all of my friends who were on it were streamers. It wasn't a concept that was new to me, but it was definitely something that I'd never tried, so I thought that I'd give it a shot. My PC wasn't really cut out for it, so I gave up on it for a while. Fast forward to recently, and I got a much better PC and decided to try again. Ultimately, the main reason is because I can stream alone fairly easily, but I struggle to make actual videos when I'm not doing something with friends. And recently I've interacted with other people a lot less for various reasons, also editing sucks. I started by being a YouTuber, but I burnt myself out and took a break. After a couple months of not making things, I felt like I was missing something, but didn't feel like editing, so I decided to stream instead. I've been wanting to be a creator for years, and while not everything has gone well, I wouldn't change a thing. I started streaming in 2022 for fun. I started streaming as something to do with my friends in 2017, but I started streaming again in 2023 because I figured it'd be something to do when I wasn't at work, and I thought I'd be able to make some friends through streaming and improve my social skills, and I was proven right. I started streaming because I dreamed of becoming a professional esports caster. I continued streaming after loving the community I surrounded myself with. When I was younger, I originally wanted to be a YouTuber because I loved how YouTube videos were my safe place that made me forget about my struggles and make me smile even at my worst, and I wanted to be able to do that for other people. My parents were always very anti-internet for my safety, so for a long time the content creation dream was only just a dream. Late middle school, I started trying to make animations because I really liked the animation meme community on YouTube, and in ninth grade, one of my friends who had just started a YouTube channel told me I should make one too for my animations. So right there and then, I made my channel. Even though my initial dream was to make gaming and vlogging content, like what I watched, animation was what I began with. It wasn't until the pandemic that I began to feel discontent with what I was doing. So many hours went into making animations just for little to no outcome. I would see other animators do art streams on YouTube, and it was around December of 2020 that I decided to try it out as well. My first stream, I didn't even use a mic, it was just me drawing and music, and typing in chat to talk to the few people who stopped by. Immediately, I felt like there was a bit more coming out of the hours I was putting in my work. Then there was the Among Us craze, which I didn't join at first, but then eventually decided it'd be a silly idea if I streamed my first time playing Among Us on stream. It was then that I knew I wanted to start playing games on stream. It was funny because I initially wanted to stay on YouTube, but I had a conversation with my older brother where I told him I started streaming. And he was like, "What platform?" And I said, "YouTube." And he told me that Twitch was better, and that comment single-handedly was why I switched over to Twitch. Recently, I've been a bit discontent with streaming from time to time since I have little to no gain, and I feel like my initial goal of being someone who could help others in their darkest of days is so out of reach. But I'm pushing for a bit longer, trying to get involved in more events and talk to more people before I truly ponder stopping streaming. I started streaming because I enjoyed playing games, but I love being busy meeting new people and playing games with new people and overall entertaining. I started streaming after growing up my whole life watching streamers and YouTubers. I loved watching gameplays and loved playing games myself, especially with friends and family. After watching Twitch streamers for years and wanting to be just like them, I decided to give it a go. I've dreamed of being a streamer and content creator since I was a kid, and I'm so glad I chose to click that start streaming button. I started watching streams many years ago when some gaming YouTubers switched to doing Twitch more often. Then, a few years later, I decided to give streaming a go myself during the big Among Us era and seeing so many people making friends by streaming the game. Just the amount of unexpected crossovers that led to people growing together and becoming such good friends inspired me, because at the time I had zero friends who played video games. I started purely with intentions of making friends, and I'm very happy to say that I've made many wonderful friends from streaming. I got into streaming for the purpose of entertaining the audience and to one day stand before an audience on a stage and entertain the world. That's basically why I got into streaming, to entertain. I started streaming to find an outlet for social needs and creativity. When I started, I was also very overweight and at around 300 pounds and just wanted to show representation I liked growing up. Simply put, I wanted to be seen and make others feel seen. I got into streaming because I got back into gaming after getting a new job that actually allowed me to have free time and energy to put into my hobbies. Once I started following people on Twitter who not only gamed but also streamed, I became intrigued and decided I should try it for myself. I'm so glad I did. I've been having so much fun playing games and building a community of amazing people. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know why, I just kinda started. My first experience with Twitch and streaming was the Among Us era of streamers. I grew to love watching others play games, especially ones that I wasn't good at or was I was too scared to play myself. I got into streaming because I want to make others happy as a general goal of mine and I love to entertain. I can make money at doing what I love and make others happy from it as well, why not? I've always been a gamer, so why not do it for a living? I'm nowhere near famous enough for it to be my only job, but I'd like it to be one day. I started with really scuffed laptop streams, and now I have a gaming PC, and I stream anything and everything when I have the time to. Honestly, my reasons for streaming aren't really all that special. I've kind of always been someone who likes being goofy, a class clown, and frankly the center of attention. Nothing makes me happier than making people feel better or making them laugh, so I always knew I wanted to do something that allowed me to do that. I thought about being a TV host, or even more ideally, a Steve Irwin-like guy where I talk about animals on TV or just in zoos. I always loved content creation and content creators, but never thought I'd be successful at it, so I pushed it off until I finished college. When I finally started, I realized that content creation is a perfect combination of everything I love to do and the exact type of creativity I love to have and share with people. Long story short, I thought it was funny and wanted to be famous and make people happy. I started streaming because I always had an interest in gaming and gaming content. Never really had many games when I was younger and was a big fan of watching stream VODs on YouTube. When I bought my first PC, I decided later on that I wanted to stream too because I was really into watching Jay Schlatt play Minecraft and I miss playing Minecraft. I got into streaming from looking at my Twitch recommended one day during 2020. I found a Minecraft streamer who made me want to get into streaming, and since then I've been streaming on specifically Twitch, playing a variety of games including Minecraft. When I was a little kid, I had wanted to do some sort of content creation and attempted to do YouTube videos multiple times, playing some of my favorite PS4 and Xbox games, so streaming just felt natural. I started streaming probably back in 2019, around the time SMP Live started. I saw what those creators were doing, and it finally gave me the drive to start pursuing making content, which was something I wanted to do since I was a kid. It's pretty on and off, but I've been doing this since I was 16 and I'm 21 now. I didn't have many role models when I was a kid, and I had to grow up faster than most of my peers. I spent the entirety of my childhood trying to fit in with kids my age, but was often shooed away to the point where I didn't feel it was necessary to make those connections. In order to escape that loneliness, I turned to YouTubers like Sky Does Minecraft, I Has Cupquake, and basically every big name Minecraft YouTuber. I felt so seen and heard in the online spaces I was in, and that transferred into real life. I met so many cool people through these content creators, and I wanted to create that type of space for people who are/were just like me, while also having fun with the games that I loved growing up. As soon as I started streaming, a huge part of my inner child was healed. Seeing my chat go crazy whenever something interesting happens on stream fills me with so much joy. I even got to see friend groups being made because of my streams. I find it so comforting that I'm making someone's day and creating these types of connections for them without doing anything but putting something out there. I don't stream as often as I used to, but I'll always have the passion for it, and it will follow me wherever I go. I forgot how to speak on that one. I started streaming during quarantine due to a few factors. I'd always wanted to create content, but I hadn't really felt the push to start until quarantine when I had the free time. I had started watching live streamers more during quarantine, and they really helped to give me that distraction from everything happening around me. I really wanted to be able to do that for other people and help others too. I was lonely and was hoping to be able to meet new people and make new friends. I had a passion for content creation since I was a teen and had been making YouTube videos off and on since about 15 years old. After taking a huge break because of school, work, and moving out, I had gotten into streaming because I had no time to edit consistently. From there, I grew more fond of streaming culture and started following a bunch of goats who inspired me to full send into content again. What got me into streaming? My best friend, Janae. I really hope I'm pronouncing that right. She started to stream and she was playing League or something, but I watched her entire stream and thought it looked like so much fun. I didn't have a computer to use to stream with, so I started off streaming through my phone and did cooking/baking streams. Janae's community became my community, and we would host/raid each other, and we both eventually got to affiliate. My best friend no longer streams, but I still do. Throughout the years, my streams started to evolve. I went from streaming on my phone to streaming through a console to going on a long hiatus to where I am now. I currently stream through a virtual PC called Shadow that runs on my janky MacBook. Since my community was also Janae's community, I don't really see those people come into my chat anymore, as they were Janae's community to begin with and she no longer streams. So I basically had to start over, which is completely fine. I'm extremely grateful with where I am as a streamer, and I can't wait to continue to grow more and do more networking with other streamers. I still owe it all to my best friend Janae for introducing me to Twitch and to streaming. For me, I've always loved watching people play video games. I watched Achievement Hunter since I was 12 or 13, so I grew up with them. I loved the idea that I could hang out with friends and people would be entertained by us. So when the pandemic hit, I befriended a few girls online who were streamers, and they encouraged me to give it a go, and I really fell in love with it, especially lore SMPs. I've always liked writing stories, so it was a fantastic way to stretch that creative limb for me. Since then, streaming is less of a job and more of a hobby. I use it to make friends and meet people, to enjoy just making silly content for ourselves, and just have a good time like the people I used to watch did. I started streaming because it was the start of COVID, and I felt like my life was hitting a standstill. I needed something to keep me going each day and just something to look forward to again. I actually had never even opened the Twitch app until about 3 months before my first real stream. An old friend told me about Katybugs and how all these people just like us were streaming and making cool communities, and so we thought we'd give it a go as well. We thought it'd be fun to stream us just chatting, as we were all in one big FaceTime call, and it gained a decent amount of traction. After that, I started branching out to meet new people with similar interests, which is why I started my own SMP and joined so many others. I've met so many amazing people through streaming, I wouldn't trade my experience for the world. I started streaming because I love creating and sharing with the world. There's something about live streaming that I preferred over YouTube and short edited out content. I like the spontaneousness of it all. You get to see who comes in, and you get to have so many people and form an actual conversation, where I feel in YouTube lacks with the instant response and back and forth. I was unsure of how to start in the first place because I only did art when I first started streaming, but I said, what's the worst that could happen? And now I've gotten to meet so many amazing people and do things that I never thought I could do in the first place. As well as it's brought me out of my shy shell when I first started and built me up as a person with being able to be social and not as anxious about it. I got into streaming mainly to make friends. My brother made me a PC when I turned 17 in 2020, and it was the first time I ever started playing games besides on a ThinkPad. I was very sheltered and did not know anything about internet culture whatsoever, but I went into content creation full force, not expecting anything at all. I started in January of 2021, and my best friend at the time helped me with everything. She was pretty much my social media manager, content manager, and everything that had to do with streaming. When I started gaining a following, I did not know what to do, and I kind of just went with the flow of things. Thought it was normal to gain hundreds of followers in less than a couple months because all the streamers I became friends with had been used to it, and I just streamed what I wanted pretty much every day. I did not have much else going for me at the time, which is a sad take, but it's true. It was my senior year of high school, and all of it was stuck in COVID. Although I do not regret content being my source of happiness because I've made so many of my friends that I am still friends with today. I got into content creation originally when I was about 15 with my first group of online friends on Minecraft trying to create YouTube videos for fun. My biggest inspiration for content was always Pizza Hut. The way he edited his videos and the fun streams and how clean his streams and videos were, it really inspired me to do the same. It hasn't been easy since I started seriously getting into streaming in late 2019, and I end up taking months between a lot of streams or video uploads because life keeps getting in the way, but each and every day I find myself getting inspired more to continue content creation by the people around me. My fellow small streamer community, through all the crap that has happened within the community and behind the scenes, it's still been a place where everyone tries to hype each other up, and that's what keeps me going behind the scenes to create new content. I would watch content creators stream just about anything, whether it be for fun or sharing some valuable info to the world or anything else. It caught my attention, and I wanted to try streaming for myself. Besides streaming games for fun, I wanted to be a person who was there for everyone, someone to help them gain confidence in themselves, and someone to bring them a little cheer and laughter when things get tough. It's very silly, but I got into streaming because in the group of friends I was in at the time, a lot of them were streaming, and I saw one of our other friends promoting them on an Instagram story. I felt left out, so I thought I'd give it a go, and it stuck. It's even funnier because none of those people even stream anymore, so I started streaming because of my fear of missing out. I think I got into streaming because I've always loved gaming and grew up with gamer parents playing World of Warcraft, and this was just another way to explore and enjoy that hobby and share it with like-minded people. I've always enjoyed watching gaming creators growing up like PewDiePie and always secretly wanted to do such a thing too, but was always well aware of how male dominated the industry was, and I was always too scared. It wasn't until I discovered Pokimane as my first film streamer that I knew and I could do that too. She really inspired me to start doing Twitch and YouTube, seeing how she handled herself in these spaces. Ever since I was little and had my iPad, I always wanted to be a content creator slash YouTuber. I was inspired by people like Stampy, Markiplier, Jack, popular MMOs, and probably some others during that time that were popular. But I never got to start until like 3 years ago, now in late 2020, where I was inspired by some content creators that were creating content that I actually modded for before starting, and I took the chance. I started on my Xbox actually, and I was like, I wonder where this will take me, and boy am I glad I took that chance when I saw it. Streaming after watching Jade's streams and her playing Valorant and seeing how interactive streaming could be. Jody really inspired me entirely. Now, personally, why I got into streaming is because I just love meeting new people and welcoming newcomers into my family. It's also such a great feeling of how I can make someone feel comfort with just streaming. I'm also a bit shy and kind of awkward, so streaming pushes me out of my comfort zone and helps me become more out there. The reason I started streaming was because, like a lot of streamers, I think, I grew up watching many amazing creators. I grew up in a somewhat intense environment, and I loved coming home after school and watching my faves continue a game they were playing, acting out new parts of their skits, or just catch up with where life was taking them. Sounds really parasocial, I know, but I was really grateful for the safe space their videos communities offered me, and I want to provide that for others.
In all honesty, being a content creator was something I imagined doing ever since I was a kid and had access to YouTube in the early 2000s. Once Twitch came out, I started going on there as well, around 2015. I was about 13 and I had made some friends in a streamer's chat. I loved the interactability between chat and streamer. Then I eventually made friends with some other streamers and it always seemed like so much fun to me. I remember sometime that same year I tried to stream Limbo on my little laptop, no mic, no nothing, just a dream, lol. It didn't go very well obviously, but it was still something I dreamed of doing. Time went by and I got a new laptop and wanted to try it once I got a mic, but I never had the desk space or anything to properly do it, so up until May of last year when I finally got a PC and everything, I was kind of just stuck waiting. Once I had gotten the stuff, I had some streamer friends help me set up stuff and I started streaming roughly 10 months ago. It's been so much fun. I've always loved being able to capture moments that I find fun and hilarious, and to especially be able to share it with people and make people laugh is so cool and rewarding. I've also made so many cool friends through streaming and I couldn't ask for anything else. I got into streaming because I saw a few friends stream for fun. They met cool people and built supportive communities while gaming, and I wanted to do the same. I've gamed for most of my life and streaming just adds to the fun. 3. So it's kind of boring, but when I was a kid I always wanted to be a YouTuber. It was the early 2000s, so our phones were only flip and slide and I didn't even have one, so I only had access to the family computer or my sister's laptop once she got one. I grew up with two older siblings, my sister being the main driving force, who introduced me to the internet and YouTube. I think my earliest memories of it was PewDiePie Surgeon Simulator, which I definitely shouldn't have been watching, and Harry Potter Puppet Pals, **JK rolling by the way. Then I started watching Game Grumps for their Wind Waker Let's Play, which again, shouldn't have been watching, and My Froggy Stuff for her doll furniture and clothes making tutorials. I remember distinctly getting in trouble because my dad could hear the choice language Game Grumps was using, and I remember switching to My Froggy Stuff really fast. At the time I believe I watched Yogscast for their Minecraft Christmas Adventure series, Yogscast Martin for his Skyward Sword and Escapist series, and then I began moving towards Jacksepticeye and Markiplier. At that young age I remember wanting a channel because of all these influences. I was going to become as awesome. Now the blank obviously is where my government name would be, but the point is that I wanted that channel badly. I wanted it so bad that I wrote it all over my dad's office whiteboard, asking for a YouTube channel. It is still downstairs on that whiteboard, and now its red ink is permanently stained with my childhood dream of a username. I still had that dream. As I grew older, I had the idea of doing Let's Plays and having rant videos. This only grew as I got into Dan and Phil and admired Dan's reasons why he's a fail videos. I wanted to do that. So I asked for a video camera for Christmas. And guess what? That camera sits unused in my drawer. I plan to use it one day, but I still need to learn how to film properly and how to get the data into my computer. Now you asked about streaming, and I'm sorry for the long-winded rant, but I promise it's all context. I already knew about Twitch a little bit as I grew older, but I didn't watch it. Even during the pandemic, I really only watched the content of the people I watched when it hit YouTube, like the Amigops stuff. That is until I met my friend Case, or Duckerty, on Twitch. They introduced me into the DSMP, and although it is severely flawed and a lot of bad people came from it, the server inspired me to start streaming. This was in conjunction with my sister making videos at the time, so I was like, well, I have a sister who knows how to capture a video game and a concept of how easy it is, let me start. So I downloaded Streamlabs, and in March of 2022 I started streaming, with my first game being Undertale, as it was a comfort game and easy enough to start with. I bought a Yeti mic that I still use because I cannot for the life of me figure out how to use my new AKG mic, and I used my HP laptop camera. I was masked at the time because I couldn't figure out how to make a VTuber, and I didn't want my identity to be out there. I mean, I still deal with identity problems and being scared of my personal life being leaked or businesses finding my streaming channel where I swear too much. But the reason why I'm not masked now? Allergies. I kept sneezing with the mask, so I took it off. It was also hot. Yep, very sad reasoning. Since then I've learned how to edit, I've been a part of Katamina's streamers, and been slowly working my way up towards the ladder. My follower and view count is still sad, but it's really because I haven't had enough time to dedicate myself to streaming. I'm graduating soon, so hopefully that'll change. I have so many scripts and videos that have been in the works for a while, and I'm even drawing up a VTuber concept right now.
I had been a supporter/teammate of a good friend of mine who was a streamer at the time, and he had asked me to get into streaming seemingly every time we played together or any time I was on his stream. I had always been pretty self-conscious about a lot of personal issues I've had over the years, but he seemed confident that people would really like my personality and would want to watch me struggle with games. Eventually, he wore me down enough to hit the go live button and start my first stream. A lot of my friends from all over the US that I had known in real life had shown up for it and seemed to really enjoy my content. So I continued to stream, and my community continued to grow. During this time, I had just moved to a new state and had been separated from my friends and family, so I felt very alone and saw that streaming offered me a chance to make new friends. Little did I know that it would open me up to a whole new world with a whole new loving group of friends, and I would even say family. My community has helped me through so much throughout these last 4 years on Twitch, and I cannot thank them enough for everything they do. Some of my favorite over the last couple of years have been with them, and I look forward to so many more. Genders. I used to play League with friends and find it so fun, plus I wanted to share those fun moments with others. Also, when Val came out, I saw all the TikToks with the sexism that women were experiencing and wanted to create a more inclusive community for marginalized genders. KJDITF, I started streaming back in 2020. My first stream was Among Us. I had always had a Twitch, but I met some friends from another streamers server called JCTHE From there we hung out a lot and played Among Us pretty frequently, so I decided to hit the live button one day. I was always making content ever since I was 15, so live streaming was very different. I didn't understand much of the culture and can definitely say I broke some rules early on. I'm glad I started streaming. I've grown and built an amazing community, and I can't wait to see how far I can go with it. One day during the pandemic I was watching a stream. I was suffering from really bad depression and anxiety at the time, and the only thing making me happy was Twitch streams. I decided that day that I also wanted to make people happy. I wanted to make them smile and provide a safe and welcoming environment for people who felt like they didn't have it. That's why I became a streamer and why I enjoy it so much. Tabby Live. Hello, my name is Ethan, or as my community knows me as, Ethandle3. I began streaming a little over a year ago because I was inspired by my friends and other content creators I grew up watching. I didn't have many friends and wanted to start streaming to meet people with similar interests. As I began to grow, I fell in love with building a community, especially one as loving and welcoming as mine is. Streaming was a dream 12-year-old me had no support behind, but as I moved out and got my own setup, my friend and now mod helped me set everything up. Quark TV. I got into streaming mainly because I like playing games and talking to PPL. Streaming kind of took the social pressure off, but also to help with my confidence and work on other aspects of myself that I wanna improve, like my voice. Zachfs. Pretty much, growing up I played a lot of games on my Xbox and I found Minecraft, so I obviously started watching Minecraft YouTubers and came across someone named sskgirl. He played this PvP game mode and it really made me want to play, but I didn't have a PC at the time cause I was like 9 or something. When I turned 10 I got a PC for my birthday and started playing that game mode. This eventually led to me watching more Minecraft YouTubers and I ran into a pretty popular one called Preston Plays. As I watched I noticed he played this game called Counter-Strike and I played BO 2 on my Xbox at a very young age, so to see another shooter game but for the PC is something that I loved to try. I ended up playing the game and falling in love. I'm talking like I have 11k hours in the game now and I seriously loved this game for 6 to 7 years of my life. And if I played that much of the game I'm gonna somewhat good at it. I competed for a bit in CS but just was too young at the time, so just gave up. Then Valorant got announced and I was extremely excited and took it as a new home that I could try to compete. I competed in Val for roughly 2.5 years and while I didn't have great results, I found other esports streamers like S0M or Tarek really enjoy the streaming side while also competing. Because of this I started streaming while competing and fell in love with it much more than competing. I could still play in high ranks with pro players while also just chilling and making a fun environment. So around 6 months ago I said I'm gonna just take a indefinite break from competing and just try streaming. And honestly it's the most fun I've had with games in a long time. Rufus.com. The reason I got into streaming was because of YouTube. Around the time I was 11 I started to watch a lot of streamers upload things onto YouTube and it made me really interested to see people interact with an audience and have people watch them for hours on end and being funny. So around a month or two after I turned 13 I booted up Twitch and created an account. Back then I streamed on the PS4, so every time I wanted to switch games I had to end stream and restart over again. It was always scuffed, but I did it for years until 2020 I asked for a PC for Christmas, and from there I got way more active when it came to streaming with the solo goal of making people laugh and to be entertaining to all. Skyloft Princess. I got into streaming simply because my mom told me she wanted to wear my merch one day. I used to mod for a lot of bigger streamers and wore their merch. One of them my mom really loved and thought was cute. We were sitting together one night and she asked me why I didn't stream and then told me she thought I would be really wonderful at it. And more importantly she wanted to be able to wear merch of mine to show off to others and to support me. After that I asked a couple friends who supported me in it, as I already streamed me playing games in Discord calls a lot. So after that I learned OBS, started working on art for myself, and got hydrangea themes because it is my mother's favorite flower, and if I am ever able to make merch for my mom to wear I want it to be her favorite flowers. Thankfully, I had a lot of support from other friends of mine who were streamers and devoted a lot of my time into it because it was also my escape from the reality I was dealing with at the time, which was taking care of my grandmother on hospice. and it just became something fun for me that I could also share with my friends and make new ones. Fifth sense, I started streaming when I was 17, and I started streaming because I'd grown up watching people stream or make YouTube content, and it had always been something I wanted to do. It was also sort of a confidence builder for me, cause I was super anxious, and being able to talk for long periods of time helped me get out of that shy phase. One Ithium Bunny, this is probably a very common answer, but I mostly got into streaming / content creation back when I was about 13-14 because I grew up watching so many YouTubers. I originally wanted to make YouTube videos until I found Twitch. They brought me a lot of joy as a kid because I didn't have a lot of friends into gaming. I went to an all-girls school, and it filled that gap for me. I got the actual push past my fears of being judged and started streaming 3 years ago. Took a while. How I started streaming was because of friends I had met through cosplay. We spoke about starting our own Twitch channels, and I took the opportunity to start mine too. I knew I always wanted to do it as a kid, and what is the harm? I was at university, so I had the time to experiment. Always wanted to make a safe space for people that grew up like me with a lack of friends that gamed. Streaming allows me to talk and connect with viewers, so it's really nice to sit and have a chat. Laughing face. Thikinde sad boy. I started streaming because people enjoy having something consistent, reliable, and routine in their lives. So, if I can be another space where they find that sense of comfort within their day-to-day, then that's very swag money, cash money. So my name is Stars J Page, and I started streaming because of the Dream SMP. Now I know, it's pretty cringe, and full of awful people, but it was the inspiration I needed to have ambitions with content creation. The main people who inspired my were Wilbur Soot, Face Vomiting, PH1LZA, and Technoblade. I have other ambitions for my life, but I've always enjoyed making videos, so much so that I'm in film school. I started streaming on Twitch in November 2021, the actual first stream of mine was lost to time. I was pretty lucky to have a mic already, but I started streaming on an HP laptop, that was not meant to do what I was putting it through. I eventually got a desktop PC, and a Chromebook, Google laptop, for mainly school stuff. So now, I've got my PC, a monitor, a mic arm that attaches to my desk, an audio mixer, a mouse and keyboard, and a laptop that acts as a second monitor, mostly so I can read chat. At the time of writing this, I have just come off of a hiatus, and I am sitting at 184 followers and 88 YouTube subscribers. With more content coming in the future, I am hoping to grow and maybe even turn content creation into my job, but right now it is a hobby I put way too many hours into. Carrion Buns, I always loved video games even as a younger child. Growing up playing them, I thought the concept of getting paid to play video games as a video game tester would be cool. When streaming came out, yes, I am that old, hahaha, I was thinking it would be really cool to give that a try, seeing as how I was playing video games for enjoyment anyways. There actually used to be a Twitch channel and group called Gamer Chicks. Net and I used to stream on their team for a bit. It was fun. I earned some money doing that. They dismantled before Twitch really became a place where you could do fairly well, many moons ago, and so I decided to start streaming on my own channel more instead. I started out as a PS4 Twitch streamer. I loved how easy it was to just click/push the button and start streaming immediately. I enjoy playing PlayStation, die-hard lover over here. And then when I was able to secure a gaming PC, I gave that a try too, and have been, and still am, learning how to navigate streaming on the PC, as it is a new experience for me. I feel like I have everything down except complicated audio settings so far, but I am enjoying the change of gaming on PC, but I don't think I will ever get used to playing PC games on a keyboard. I prefer to opt for a controller. Hehe. I got into streaming a few years ago. My brother streamed for a while, but he lost his drive and motivation because he didn't know how to grow as a streamer, so he quit. I still had access to his old account and everything, so I rebranded it all and started out with Fortnite streams. I loved video games and I also want to make people happy, so streaming was the way to go, and that kept me motivated. Kozishark, my darling, I truly first started streaming because it was a sort of branch of content creation, in which I have always wanted to do. I used to watch YouTubers and other creators religiously and fell in love with the format and entertainment as a whole. I have always loved making people laugh, and I am a massive yapper, so it only made sense. I chose VTubing specifically because of my own passion for art and animation, as well as original character creation, so once I fully learned about VTubers I knew that that's exactly what I wanted to do. Truly, despite me having had a really big passion for content creation, I truly wouldn't have been able to do it without being encouraged and motivated from watching and befriending small streamers and learning from them. My biggest inspiration being Lyrina, she's the best. Rice Free, I got into streaming because one of my IRL friends started streaming a game called Super Animal Royale, so I thought it might be fun to try it out, so I hit the go live button on and played Minecraft. I grew pretty quick surprisingly, got 6 followers on my first ever stream, and by the end of my first week I hit affiliate. I hit the requirements for average viewer before I hit the minimum of streaming for 1 week actually, haha. So I continued streaming and had a ton of fun, which is why I'm still doing it today. Pulverous, I've just been watching Twitch/YouTube since I was young, so it was always something I wanted to do and felt like I could have the personality to do it, not much else to it besides that loudly crying face. Karina maybe, I got into streaming because of a famous streamer that I thought was funny and had gotten me through a lot of tough times. He inspired me not to take things too seriously and go for what I want, so I did just that. I built my computer from scratch and got started with my first stream, smiley face. I was super awkward, but over time it got more comfortable to the point where, like the person who inspired me, I can just jump on camera and go live and do whatever my heart desires. Smiley face. I'm so lucky to have found this person, and I'm happy for the people I've met along the way, including my wife, smiley face. MKZ, I got into streaming when COVID happened. I grew up gaming and went to school for video editing. So I figured I would combine the two things I'm most passionate about and start streaming my games and doing content creation. So when lockdown happened, I bought a PC and some cheap starter equipment and started streaming. I fell in love with it and have made some of the most amazing friends I would have never met if I didn't decide to start streaming. Go Doffknockers, I got into streaming when a lady I follow on Twitter mentioned Twitch. I looked it up and saw what the site was all about. Gaming, cooking, podcasts, IRL. I was enchanted, and I wanted to try it out for myself. I started with no camera or mic on a relic of a PC playing a game called Hero Core, and I had an image of a poster that said, "No girls allowed unless you got big boobs." LOL. TTV, I started streaming because I play single-player cozy games, so it can get lonely. I wanted a space to hang out with other people and build my own little community with some positivity. I also just wanted a place I could be myself. Extreme Ebangia. So why did I get into streaming? For the months leading up to me getting back into it, I was appearing on friends' streams and such, which kinda reignited my passion for streaming myself. And in that time in my life, my schedule had opened up due to recently leaving a job at the time. So for me, it was a way to fill my time up with such a free and open schedule. I also wanted to cheer others up, the same way streamers had kinda spread the happiness to me. Pixelvix, I started streaming in 2020 during the pandemic. I had always wanted to stream since I first started my content but never had the time. Before 2020 I primarily was just a cosplayer. I had been guesting at conventions as a cosplay guest since 2016, and with the pandemic, I was missing my friends and the community part. I figured that string then would be the perfect chance, and it helped compensate the lack of income from cons. I 1,000,000% would do it again. Streaming was one of the best decisions I've made. It opened the door to meeting and working with some of the best people around. I'm extremely thankful for every stream I get to do. It's been a wonderful experience. Raylan, it honestly all started back when I first began watching Technoblade and his Hypixel adventures. I was genuinely so inspired by the way he did everything, and I wanted to grow my channel just like his and make a name for myself in the art. Minecraft and Roblox and just YouTube community XD. I loved the thought of making content that people are excited about and just making friends with fellow content creators and building so many connections. It's such an amazing experience. Smiley face. Gremlo, I started during lockdowns and started documenting protests across the US. I basically needed an outlet to continue my advocacy since I couldn't go out to a food bank I was volunteering at, so I started streaming between morning classes and work. After a year I sold my motorcycle and went full-time. It's been 3 years and it's changed my life. Rater, to be 100% honest, I think I was manic and had been thinking how fun that'd be, so, with encouragement from old friends, I just kind of sent it. I also thought to use this username BC, it was my Valorant name, and was like, hey, will I probably get banned? Yeah. Is it memorable? Yeah, I was, is a rough patch also and quite lonely, so I think I also was seeking to be a part of a community. Dorky one, I got into streaming because of the community. I've always been fascinated by content creation like blogging, podcasts, and YouTube for years. I like how people can create their own media and tell their own stories free of corporate influence. No matter what someone is into, they can find at least one person that wants to listen. But I never seriously gave any of it a try. When I started meeting people on Twitch and making friends, we talked about it and they told me to just do it. One day I was playing with OBS while talking to a friend on Discord and they said, okay, now just go live. I did, and like 12 people showed up right away. It was such an awesome feeling and I just kept going with it. Since around 2013, I would watch Minecraft YouTubers create fun challenges and see the community collide together to make something beautiful. During 2020, when the Dream SMP had just started, I saw that those YouTubers would stream their content live on Twitch. I saw this as an opportunity to kick off the beginning of my community before I start making major videos. That's what inspired me, the fact I could make live content and entertain people. Even if it's just one viewer, that's one person I got to make smile. Killex, I got into streaming because I was bored, and needed a way to make money. I got into streaming by randomly downloading Streamlabs OBS one day and just clicking the live button LMAO. I started out with some Valorant and Rainbow Six Siege stream. Kian Daily and I started streaming in 2017 without any special equipment, just my PS4, and used their streaming feature to go live on Twitch. I had friends who wanted to hang out while they weren't home or able to hop on, so I decided streaming was the best way to go about doing it. Initially, I had no intentions of becoming a content creator, but I eventually dove into YouTube the following year, creating little compilations of custom match lobbies I hosted for my friends on Call of Duty and Minecraft build tours. One of my good friends started streaming and it inspired me to start pursuing it. He was able to meet some new friends and I figured it would be a good way for me to do the same, especially since it was difficult doing so as a female competitive gamer at the time. I started pursuing streaming in 2019, mainly focusing on Rainbow Six Siege and Minecraft, with the goal of making memories. Since then, I have been able to network and learn that there's so much more that streaming could become for me. My why has changed so much over the past 5 years. Now, I stream to empower other women to pursue their dreams and aspirations, mainly focusing on the gaming and tech industries, as well as sharing my story in hopes to inspire others to overcome barriers they thought were impossible. I always wanted to be a content creator. I watched a lot of MCYT when I was younger. So I actually got into streaming when I was 12. Recording with OBS wasn't a thing back then. So it was screen recording for 10 minutes at a time or going live on Google+. I did both, haha. I eventually gave up around 2016 because of high school. But then came back because of COVID. I was modding for a big YouTuber and a couple of small streamers. My computer was crap at the time, but I still had that dream of becoming a streamer. I did have to restart my account in 2021 due to my account being created when I was 12, not 13, but that's all sorted now. I stream because I love to make people smile and laugh. I love making a difference in this world, even if it's small. Smiley face, Debbie Morales. Dino Naya, I learned what Twitch was during quarantine and it honestly just seemed fun to chill and play games with friends and have new people come and vibe with us. Smiley face. Cosmic Snip, honestly I stream as a hobby every now and then, and the main reason I'd say I got into it is because of the community and friends. Seeing the cool communities people had and the friendships grew my desire to the point where I thought maybe I could do it too. Duck the Truck, oh gosh, I barely stream now. I honestly don't really remember why I started. I think I just watched a bunch of streamers and wanted to try it, but it wasn't really for me, plus I wasn't that into it to upgrade my equipment. Artie Toast, I was about 12 years old when COVID hit, and I was just an artist. I was really bored, and I've heard here and there about stuff concerning streamers and stuff like that. I was somewhat into MCYT, but I didn't really intend to actually start streaming because I was more of an art person at the time. My dad later came up to me about a Twitch streamer named Lil Ipishu as well as a VTuber named Gorgura, and I ended up falling in love with the idea of streaming. I never really ended up streaming besides small things here and there until I was about 14. I got into streaming back in 2021 partly due to it being the pandemic and just being super bored, and then mostly because I'd always wanted to be a content creator. I got a lot more into streaming once I had started too because of a lot of the people that I had met. Sumi Games 7, I started streaming because my friends got me into games, and that led me down the rabbit hole of people who also played those games. I watched Disguised Toast religiously during COVID, and through him I was introduced to his whole friend group. I was inspired by how much fun they have, and how they were able to build a community that just enjoyed being together and having a fun time. I wanted to do something similar. Valkyrie is a huge inspiration to me, and seeing how she can light up the lives of so many is something that really spurred me into action. It's not easy, but I feel like the people I've met and the community I'm building is so worth the effort. I love having fun and discovering the world of games that I never knew about when I was younger, and showing others who are like me that they can also be a gamer if they want to. If I can be a gamer, or a streamer, or a content creator, so can they. Saturday, it's something I enjoy, and letting people know about me and have my viewers know that even though I'm bedridden, I can still do everything that's deemed to be normal, like game, go to school, and have a long-term relationship among other things. I honestly have really taken the time to think about my why. The more I think about it, the more I kept trying to convince myself I started streaming for so many other reasons, but when I really think about it, I think it's because I wanted to find a group of like-minded people and get to know others who have experienced or do experience similar things like myself. Growing up I was always hanging with the boys, and I played a lot of sports, action figures, and video games with my brother and his friends. It was easier for me to be friends with guys because we shared similar interests, so as I got older it was hard for me to make friends or have deep friendships with girls. And what sucks about that is sometimes girls can be really mean and make life harder in a world that is already hard. I was bullied a lot for my interests in games and nerdy stuff and could never exactly find where I fit in. Unfortunately, my only way of getting by was to mask, hide, and change my interests to fit the mold of what I thought would make me happier and make life a little easier. When I met my husband, he made me feel comfortable and confident in myself and learn to accept that there are other people like me, and my small town was not the whole population and did not define who I was. He was also the one who introduced me to the streaming world. He was so supportive and encouraged me to try it out, so I did. I started streaming so I could share my interests with others, grow my gaming skills, have a great time, and eventually create my own community for people like me that didn't feel like they fit, and give them a place where they can be themselves without fear and make friends. Smiley face, hyper 4RCHY, I got into it cause I wanted a way to express myself online, and I had been wanting to for a few months until a friend of mine at the time convinced me to set everything up and start. Smiley face. Linlow, I got into streaming in June 2023. A few of my friends convinced me, saying I should do this for kicks and giggles, and since I'm a talker I'll be good at it, haha. We love to laugh and have fun. I love seeing my friends come together for laughter. A place where they can come in and just hang out and be themselves. A place where we can enjoy each other's company and let loose. A place where they feel safe to talk about anything. Streaming helped me open up and not be afraid to talk to anyone. I felt like myself. Celly phone, so I got into streaming from some old friends of mine. I used to just game for fun and not really think too much of it. They told me that I should try streaming on Twitch because they think I would have a good personality for it and I was funny, so I thought, why not just try? I started my first stream on my Xbox using my living room TV and went from there. Ayastra, I've been playing video games for as long as I can remember. When Minecraft released, it quickly became one of my favorite games and I started watching YouTube to learn how to do things. Seeing my favorite YouTubers create something seemed so fun and is what sparked the start of my journey as a content creator. I started off creating Minecraft YouTube videos and had a blast. Soon after I learned about streaming and how you can engage with people while live. I can't even remember why I decided to, but one day I went live from my Xbox and it was fun. Next thing you know, I was saving up for a laptop and decided I really wanted to stream more. I remember all the fun moments I've had with friends while streaming and treasure the fact that I can save and look back on them. As I've grown in my streaming journey, I've met the coolest people and am building a community that I am incredibly grateful for. I'm so glad I took a silly little leap of faith and took the steps, but I definitely owe it to other creators for inspiring me to give it a go. Fairy Bunsey, it all started in the summer of 2020, quarantine was happening, and I got into MCYT. My account was actually a MCYT fan page at first, and I made friends with other MCYT fans, and I randomly brought up the idea of wanting to stream for fun. All of my friends I had made immediately supported me on the idea, so I made an account, a swaggy username, which was different at the time, hehe, and I hit the start stream button. Of course it was not a great stream, I had no idea how to speak to people and I was awkward as heck. But I had my friends in chat rooting for me, and I continued on with my fun idea of a Minecraft speedrun. From then on I started streaming just anything related to Minecraft, whether it was me playing Bed Wars on Hypixel or playing on my friend's SMP. I then started to meet more people on Twitter who were also small streamers, and we all did collabs together frequently on stream. At first, streaming was truly just a fun hobby, but now in 2024, I decided to start over with a rebrand and try to continue with streaming and content creation now that I have more free time and confidence than I did years ago. Mayaka live, I started streaming sometime around 2019 because I participated in Project Diva contests that required you to stream your POV, and the people in that community were really nice. I didn't have a proper setup, so I streamed from my phone. My streams weren't consistent until I decided to try cooking on stream after having an inside joke about chickens within that same community. At the beginning it was just for fun and for the joke, but people started to like it, so I kept going. Eventually, I sort of figured out how OBS works and tried streaming from my first laptop. It was kind of hard considering my laptop was low-end, but 2019 to 2021 was my peak. I got affiliated within a year, I believe, and I kept streaming. Streaming became a fun way for me to de-stress, and interacting with people was something I genuinely enjoyed. It became my goal to become a streamer that people laugh at with their jokes and silliness whenever they need a laugh. Unfortunately, I haven't had the time to stream as much, and because of my inconsistency, I've sort of fallen off. However, streaming is still something I love doing despite not being huge yet. Sir Ali, I got into streaming as a uni student who was living abroad. I started off wanting to converse with people while playing Valorant, as people I knew IRL were not a big fan of games. People who were kind, friendly, empathetic and supportive, at least I hoped to. This was my ideal comfy space, since Valorant can be pretty toxic and weird. The Zero Ryo family, I started streaming when in Sept 2020, when COVID precautions were deeply in place. I just left a toxic job and was finishing my bachelor's degree online, and had so much extra time I wasn't sure what to do with. This is also around the time I got super into Twitch. I had a lot of creators I admired for years stream, and I would always be watching them. It fascinated me so much, I bought a couple starter equipment for a super basic setup, and pushed go live, and I'm glad I did. It's given me a creative outlet, and also is a hobby I've come to deeply enjoy and be passionate about. And the passion and love for it, along with meeting new people who also enjoy the same games and content, are why I do it, and why I continue to do it. Kooksy, I started streaming back in 2021 after spending the majority or my 2020 watching a bunch of streamers. The community inspired me, and as I had always dreamed of creating content, this and my friends gave me the push I needed to get into the streaming world. I wanted to build a community, meet people, and share comfort the way so many creators had done for me.
Okay, so how I started streaming and why I started streaming is a pretty long story, but I will try to cut it down. So basically, I found a certain someone on my For You page that I will not name, and this was on TikTok, and I decided, you know what, let me go watch them. And I created a Twitch account and started, looking at all the streams and getting into Minecraft and stuff like that. And then I was like, you know what, I want to try this myself. So I started streaming and then met a bunch of people who also started streaming with me. And, I genuinely enjoyed it. And then after that, the rest was history. I just really enjoyed streaming. And I think that it's really nice to meet a bunch of people through streaming, even if I don't get super popular. That's not what I want from it. I just want friends, and I want people that I can genuinely connect with. So yeah.
My first ever Twitch stream, I did as a joke, because I just started watching streamers, and I did a like giveaway with a bunch of my like IRL friends, and I did a Twitch stream like to be like really funny, because I was like, this would be funny if I like actually like went live instead of just posting about it or like having a group chat. I did, and I had like this Twitch t-shirt. I had a Twitch t-shirt because I had gone to a convention that was like, it was being live streamed by Twitch. It was being hosted by Twitch. It was like a Street Fighter convention when I was in like the 4th grade.
I spent a lot of time playing games and figured I might as well stream them, but also just because I like the idea of more than just my friends being in on a joke.
I liked making content, but I didn't like kind of the editing aspect. Then I actually found streaming like during COVID hours. So in 2020, and I was like, I really love the idea of just, you know, being able to just go live and kind of do the whole content thing, but without having to do the editing, I guess.
My journey in streaming was ignited by a sense of loneliness and a lack of local connections, compounded by a toxic environment where I felt powerless over my time and freedom. Oh, by the way, my voice is back now. Still sick, but voice is back. Anyways, seeking an escape and a semblance of control, I immersed myself in online D&D sessions, eventually co-owning a Twitch channel in 2020, following a stink in podcasting. Months later, I made the courageous decision to break free from toxicity, embrace a healthier relationship, and embarked on my solo streaming venture as Janice Online. For those humble beginnings, my passion for streaming has flourished, becoming a catalyst for personal growth and newfound opportunities.
Oh, my name is Ava. I started streaming, oh shoot, a while ago, but it wasn't on my own. I was streaming with friends. We'd stream Call of Cthulhu or just random video games that we were playing. My, like, this era of streaming for me with, you know, this new account and everything like that on my own started when I moved, essentially. And it started for, I think, mainly 2 reasons. One, I've always wanted to try to stream. And now that I was living on my own, I could actually, you know, set up a better equipment and all of that. And to get better set up, I thought that it was a perfect time to do so. And 2, because I was going to be doing this shit alone. So let's take a step back there. When I say doing this shit alone, I mean, what I stream is exactly what I'd be doing on my own in my own free time. So why not share it with people? Why not have chat roast me about how bad I'm playing chess? Or why not make new friends as I stream with other people? Honestly, the relationships I've made, the community I've made, it's really, and again, the best part about streaming, honestly. And again, it's just because I'm a dumbass who decides I can show my face, I can be a dork, I can do random bullshit, and go live and just have fun with it.
I started streaming because of a competition that I wanted to join. After seeing what kind of opportunities it could bring me, it made me realize, what? I'm very tired. Hold on. It made me think back a lot on my life and realize that I've always known that I want to entertain and make people laugh. From when I was younger to now, I enter almost every conversation wanting to do my best to cheer up people's day, and I constantly found myself in front of an audience that I tell stories in front of. To summarize, I realized that entertaining has been involved in almost every aspect of my life and is likely my life's purpose.
RI1 Pig.